Every dining spot has its moments of glory, and over the decades, some extraordinary restaurants have unfortunately vanished from the culinary scene. Number 1. Burger Chef. This place was basically the cool kid on the fast food block, giving McDonald's a run for its money. They were slinging burgers with a side of innovation at their self-service Works bar, long before customizing your meal became mainstream. They dished out the Big Chef and Super Chef burgers like they were going out of style, which, ironically, they did. Despite growing to over 1,200 locations, they couldn't keep the grills sizzling and eventually flipped their last patty after selling to Hardee's in 1982. Number 2. Lum's. Known for steaming hot dogs and beer, because why not, Lum's was a quirky spot. From its start in 1956, it quickly expanded, serving not just any food, but beer-battered fish and chips alongside those sudsy dogs. They even tried to mix it up by snagging Orange Julius in 1969, but alas, it was a hop, skip, and a jump from bustling to bust. By the early 2000s, Lum's had tapped out, closing its doors for the last time. Number 3. Howard Johnson's. This chain started as a single restaurant in 1925, but grew to be a roadside icon with its unmistakable orange rooftops. It was the place for heaping plates of comfort food and a scoop or two of their famous ice cream. But as faster, shinier fast food joints zoomed onto the scene, good old Hojo's couldn't keep up with its last location in New York, closing its doors in 2022. Number 4. Victoria Station. Founded in 1969 by a trio of railway enthusiasts, this restaurant put patrons in actual train cars to dine on steaks, seafood, and burgers. It was like eating in the heyday of the Orient Express, minus the mystery. They expanded to about 100 locations, but the 1990s brought on a derailment in the form of financial troubles, forcing most stations to close their doors. Still, the memory of munching on a medium rare while the dining car gently rocked remains in our hearts. Number 5. Wetson's. This New York-based fast food joint was flipping burgers and taking names with its battle cry, "Buy a bagful." In the days when 15 cents could actually get you a burger, Wetson's was the East Coast's counterpunch to McDonald's. At the peak of burger glory in the early 70s, Wetson's had 70 locations. Unfortunately, the late 70s brought economic hardships, and by 1975, Wetson's flipped its last patty and was gobbled up by Nathan's Famous, leaving only the taste of nostalgia behind. Number 6. York Steakhouse. Back in 1996, if you craved a steak without the fuss of a black-tie dress code, York Steakhouse was your spot. Founded by the culinary duo Eddie Grayson and Bernie Gross, this steakhouse served up sizzling sirloins and filet mignons alongside show-stealing sides like creamy mashed potatoes and buttery dinner rolls. It was a haven for those seeking good vibes and great food without emptying their wallets. However, as dining trends evolved, York Steakhouse couldn't keep up with the fast-changing tastes. By 1989, many of its doors had closed, but the tales of its hearty meals and warm atmosphere linger on in the hearts of those who experienced its glory days. Number 7. The Velvet Turtle. Started in 1961 by David Talashe, the Velvet Turtle was the fancy spot in town. It had soft lights, comfy seats, and a menu that included a delicious prime rib and fresh seafood. It was the perfect place for a fancy date or a big family celebration. But even with all its charm and tasty food, the Velvet Turtle couldn't keep up with changing times and had to close down in the 1990s. Number 8. Houlihan's. Opened on April 1st, 1972 in Kansas City's Country Club Plaza, Houlihan's was the dream project of Paul Robinson and Joe Gilbert. They wanted to create a cozy spot where people could relax and enjoy a tasty meal. Houlihan's offered classic American dishes, but with fun twists, like steaks jazzed up with special rubs or pasta in unusual sauces. The bar was always buzzing, serving signature cocktails and beers, making it a go-to for big celebrations and chill evenings. Houlihan's became a hit across the country, but as it turned into more of a franchise, many say it lost its original sparkle. In November 2002, the first Houlihan's closed, ending a chapter on a place that many loved. Number 9. Beefsteak Charlie's. Launched in 1976 by Larry Ellman, Beefsteak Charlie's was a paradise for meat lovers who didn't want to empty their wallets. With the motto, "You're gonna get spoiled," it lived up to its promise by offering unlimited shrimp cocktail, a salad bar, and sangria that could turn any meal into a festive event. The menu was loaded with big, juicy steaks, burgers, and seafood, served up with a side of hearty enthusiasm. It was a haven for fans of a good salad bar and generous meals. However, the dining landscape changed, and Beefsteak Charlie's couldn't keep pace. After a merger with Bombay Palace Restaurants, it slowly lost what made it special, and by 1992, only a few locations remained. For those who remember, the days of endless shrimp and lavish plates at Beefsteak Charlie's are still cherished memories. Number 10. Bonanza Steakhouse. Founded in the 70s by Dan Blocker, who you might know as Hoss from the TV show Bonanza, this steakhouse was the place to be for a good, affordable steak dinner. The salad bar was like a festival of fresh veggies, loaded with every topping you could think of. And the steaks, from the marbled T-bone to the tender filet mignon, they were grilled just right. Despite its popularity, the 2008 financial crisis hit Bonanza hard, and many locations had to shut down. A few places still hang on, where you can relive the glory days of affordable steak dinners. Number 11. Chi-Chi's. Launched in 1975 by Marno McDermott after he was inspired by his travels to bring Mexican flavors back to the U.S. Chi-Chi's was the spot for Mexican food lovers. The atmosphere was always festive, with bright decor and lively music, perfect for enjoying fajitas, enchiladas, and chimichangas. Plus, the margaritas were a must-try. However, the early 2000s brought tough times for Chi-Chi's, especially after a hepatitis A outbreak in 2003 related to contaminated green onions. This hit their reputation hard, leading to bankruptcy and the closure of all Chi-Chi's locations by 2004, ending its run as a favorite Mexican joint. Number 12. Geno's Hamburgers. NFL star Gino Marchetti and his buddy Louis Fisher started Geno's Hamburgers in 1957. Quickly became a fast food favorite, especially known for the Geno Giant, a massive burger with 2 beef patties, special sauce, and all the extras. Throughout the 60s and 70s, Geno's was a hit, but as bigger fast food chains like McDonald's and Burger King grew, Geno's got overshadowed. In the late 1980s, Marriott Corporation brought Geno's and slowly phased out the brand, turning many of its spots into other restaurant ventures. Number 13. Sandy's. Founded in 1958 by a quartet of burger-loving businessmen, Sandy's was the Midwest's answer to America's fast food cravings. They dished out burgers, fries, and shakes faster than you could say, "Extra ketchup, please." However, as the 1960s rolled around, the fast food scene got as crowded as a mall on Black Friday. So Hardee's, eyeing the opportunity for expansion, started scooping up Sandy's locations. By the late 60s, 90% of Sandy's had morphed into Hardee's joints, with the last 10% clinging to the Sandy's name for a bit longer before waving the white napkin. Number 14. Sambo's. Opened in 1957 by Sam Battistone Sr. and Newell Bonnet, Sambo's was a clever name mashup of its founders' names, Sam and Bo. Unfortunately, the name stirred up unintended controversy due to its derogatory connotations, which distracted from its delicious all-day breakfast offerings. At its height, Sambo's served pancakes and omelets across over 1,100 locations, becoming a breakfast haven for night owls and early birds alike. But again, good things came to an end in the 1980s. Through the tough times and financial woes, families were shifting dining preferences. The chain made attempts to downscale and rebrand, but eventually the breakfast buzz fizzled out, leaving only memories of those leisurely pancake breakfasts. Number 15. Carol's. Back in the early 60s, Carol's burst onto the scene in upstate New York with a splash of color and a catchy jingle that could stick in your head for days. Famous for its club burger, which dared to rival the Big Mac, Carol's was a beacon for the hungry youth and families looking for a fun meal. The 70s saw it as a hot spot for innovation and a lively dining atmosphere. But as the 80s rolled around, the tale of Carol's took a dramatic turn. Carol's was transformed into Burger King franchises, and just like that, the unique Carol's vibe was swallowed up, marking the end of its journey as a standalone brand. Number 16. Steak and Ale. Launched in 1966 by Norman Brinker, Steak and Ale was the go-to spot for a laid-back pub-like vibe, where the steaks were affordable and the salad bar was revolutionary. Imagine loading up your plate with fresh greens before tucking into a juicy steak and buttery potatoes, all without emptying your wallet. This formula won them many fans, but despite its popularity, the financial crunch hit hard. In 2008, Steak and Ale couldn't keep the grills burning and had to shut down, closing the chapter on a beloved eatery. Number 17. Trader Vic's. Right from its 1934 opening by Victor Jules Bergeron Jr., this place was an escape to a Polynesian island, complete with exotic decor and groundbreaking cocktails like the original Mai Tai, concocted by Bergeron himself. While the tiki bar trend that helped it flourish has simmered down, a few Trader Vic's still keep the torches lit, serving those famous spicy ribs and dreamy tropical drinks to a crowd that can't get enough of the nostalgia. Number 18. The Magic Pan. The Magic Pan started delighting San Franciscans with its crepes back in the 1960s thanks to the innovative ideas of Laszlo and Paulette Fono. They introduced an automated system where crepes were cooked to perfection on a conveyor, offering everything from savory to sweet fillings. This spot became a hit for its novel approach and delicious offerings. Over time, however, as ownership changed, the Magic Pan lost a bit of its original charm and eventually phased out. Yet the memories of the unique crepes and bustling atmosphere linger with those who got to experience it. Number 19. Allie's. Allie's was a regional diner chain known for its home-style breakfasts and cozy, family-friendly atmosphere. Founded in the mid-1970s in the Midwest, Allie's quickly became a local staple for hearty meals at any time of the day, but especially for breakfast. Their pancakes, omelets, and bottomless cups of coffee made them particularly popular among the breakfast crowd. Despite a strong local following, Allie's struggled to compete with larger national chains and the economic pressures of the 1980s, leading to its closure by the end of the decade. Number 20. Henry's Hamburgers. A spin-off from the Bressler's ice cream brand, Henry's Hamburgers was established to compete directly with McDonald's burgeoning empire. By the mid-1960s, Henry's had more locations than McDonald's, serving burgers, fries, and shakes at prices designed to undercut the competition. Their slogan, "Aren't you hungry for a Henry's hamburger?" resonated well in the 60s and 70s. However, without the innovative drive-through model and lacking the branding strength of its rivals, Henry's couldn't sustain its growth. By the late 1970s, many of its locations had closed, and the brand had largely disappeared from the fast food scene, leaving behind memories of its once thriving operations. What unforgettable dining spots did we miss? Share your memories in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we continue to delve into the lost treasures of the culinary world.